Okay, so how's it going out there? Over the past couple of years, I've had a lot of subscribers ask me about the excessive heat on the screen and whether it can damage their units, and it burns their fingers. And you know, you can use a stylus, one of those stylus that come with your iPad or something like that, but that doesn't do you any good when you go to zoom in and out. You're still gonna burn them fingers. The other thing it can do is it can shut down your unit. And if you've been wondering about damage, the unit does have an internal protection device inside, but along with anything else, you don't want to push those limits. You don't want to have this thing shutting off on you every other time you go out, because eventually the internal device could fail and you could damage your unit. So don't rely solely on the unit protecting itself. Go ahead and take some preventative measures. Now let's talk a little bit about why the units are getting so hot. Well, with all the latest technology, you got transducers that are drawing more power. You know, GT54, when they originally came out, they're 350 watts. The new GT56s are 500 watts, and other manufacturers even go up higher than that. So you've got the transducer drawing more power. You got more processing power and speed. And if you know anything about computers and graphics, you know, screen graphics, those processors generate a ton of heat. Your laptops and things like that, like I'm using right now, my graphics card is my main draw. So with the higher speeds and greater resolution, the screens are gonna generate more temperature. The unit's gonna generate more temperature internally. Okay, the other thing is the screen resolution itself. I know Garmin, their newly released UHD2, that unit is quite a bit wider than the old unit. And I would assume that's because of the internal processor and having to have more heat dissipation inside the unit. So with all that, we get a lot better images, we get a lot more detail, and we're able to reach farther out and down with our sonar signal so we can see more area. And all that adds up to just a great product, but it does come with the price of heat. Now there's a few things that you can do to kind of mitigate that heat. And number one starts when you're installing your unit. So if you have a brand new unit that you just bought and you're watching this video and you're thinking about mounting it inside a console or something like that, if you don't have a canopy up over that where you're going to shade that screen a little bit, that could cause some problems because that internal temperature device could be shutting it down. You want to keep some airflow around that unit if possible. And I know, like me, my console unit, I've got that windshield, you know, right behind it, so it doesn't get good airflow. And I've been thinking about, you know, if I should move it, but my unit has never shut down on me, but that screen gets awfully hot, just like a lot of you have experienced. And you guys who are just now getting your chart plotters and getting ready to install them, it's nothing that you should be real scared of, but you should be aware of it. And let's take a look at how to mitigate some of that heat and keep the temperature down on your screen. So the simplest and easiest thing to do is just simply cover the screen. We've all got a hand towel or something that we use, you know, to dry off our hands. You can simply just throw that over the screen like that and cover it up. And that was actually the top recommendation from the Garmin guy I talked to, Lance. He's a really good guy. Special thanks to Lance. He hooked me up with some new covers for my units because I had left them on the bow of my boat and they blew off while I was going to the lake one morning. So I haven't had any covers for quite a while. Now there's the other option, is you can take the factory cover that came with it and just pop that on. All the internal temperature adds to it, but that sun beating down on it is what really gets it hot. The second thing is turn your brightness down. Now, unfortunately, the thing that happens when the sun is real bright in the sky and we're out there fishing, guess what? We have to turn the brightness up to see the screen real well, don't we? So the other thing is go ahead and turn your brightness down. All right, so we've been talking about the screen brightness, and there's actually two ways that the screen gets lit. One is with the backlight, and the other is with the brightness setting, which brightens up the image itself. The one that affects the heat more than anything is the backlight. So let's take a look at that. To adjust that, simply press your power button real quickly and let go. And up here on the top, you got backlight. Go ahead and press that. And you can adjust that with these keys here, up and down. Or you can go ahead and just grab it with your finger and move it up and down. And I leave mine, when I'm shooting videos, I leave it at about 50% because that's what the camera likes. You can also just set it in auto. And when you're done, just go ahead and push your home button to get out of it. You can turn that backlight down a little bit, and that'll help because when the sun's high in the sky, you're going to have that turned up to about 100%. And you can turn it down a little bit when you're not going to be using your unit. Now, my preferred method is to go ahead and sleep the device. And to sleep the device, all we're going to do is we're going to press that power button a little bit longer, but not too long because we don't want to shut it off. And go ahead and read this right here. Pause it if you need to. But if you turn it off, if you hold it for, I think it's 5 or 8 seconds, you'll see a little red bar coming across here. It'll turn the device off. If you have an Ultra Series device, it'll turn your other devices off with it. So all you want to do, you don't want to turn it off, you just want to sleep it. So you go ahead and hit your sleep device, and your screen's going to go blank, and you can jump up on the bow and do whatever you want to do. And then when you come back, just hit your power button again, and your screen comes back. Now, because it's only sleeping the device, if I go into a sonar screen, say I go into clear view, and I come up here, and I sleep the device, and then I come back to it, see, it pulls me right back up to the same screen I'm in, and that's if you're in a combo or maps or whatever you're in, it'll bring you back into that same screen. So that's what I prefer to do to keep the heat down on my screen when I'm fishing, is I'll go ahead and just sleep it when I'm not using it. All right, so we've been talking about the screen brightness, which you affect by the backlight. So I thought I'd go ahead and show you the actual brightness on your sonar screens and a trick that I like to do. So go ahead and go into one of your sonar screens, and we'll go to clear view. And if you look up here, it's set to range right now. And the range you can adjust also with the plus and the minus buttons, so it's a little bit of a duplication. So what I like to do is go into my menu, sonar setup, and on-screen control. And by default, it's set to range. Go ahead and just set that to brightness. And now you can see you got brightness. Now what that'll do, it'll be on auto until you actually push one of the plus or minus buttons, and then that'll change it. Now every time you start your unit up, or if you hit the center button here, it'll go back to auto. But it's pretty easy to change right there. And that's the actual brightness of the image. So that is different than your backlight. I just wanted to make sure and clarify that. Now you've got that on each one of your sonar screens. So we'll go ahead and go back into sonar and go into side view. Again, go to menu. You got to scroll down a page here. Sonar setup, on-screen control, and just go to brightness. And there again, there's your brightness on the bottom. That more sets the image brightness than the backlight. They are two separate things. And my favorite thing to do, and what I do, is I just press that power button real quick and I put it in sleep mode. Now you might be thinking, well, if I put it in sleep mode and I got it networked to other units, I won't be able to use those transducer signals to my other units. Well, yeah, you can. When you put it in sleep mode, all you're doing is shutting down some of the processes, but you're not shutting down the transducer and its ability to send sonar signals to other units. So for me, that's what I prefer to do, is just go ahead and sleep the device. Okay, so I hope this video's helped you and answered some of your questions, and until next time, keep calm and hook 'em and watch this video next.